Hello friends, today we will discuss about anatomy of the eye. Okay, it is very important in the first year MBBS in the subject anatomy and physiology of the eye. So, in this series of lecture we will discuss about the anatomy of the eye, then physiology of the eye, then about ophthalmology, that is a very important subject in the third year of the MBBS. So, about the diseases of the eyes. Okay, so stay tuned with us and we will be discussing in detail about that. Okay, so first we will discuss about this. So I will just draw a schematic rough diagram to show the layers of the eyeball, then we will discuss about the parts of the eyeball. So in this short video we will discuss only about the layers of the eyeball and the parts of the eyeball. Later individual parts in detail we may discuss. Okay, so firstly about the layers of the eyeball. Okay, just again I will draw a rough line or schematic diagram to describe the layers of the eyeball. Okay, so this one what I am drawing right now is a first outer layer. Okay, outer layer of the eyeball, a rough line diagram just to understand the basics of the eyeball. Okay, so it is not exactly the sphere or what it is. Let me draw once again. So I will draw a bit bigger so that can be visible to everyone. Okay, so a big spherical, elliptical or ellipsoid structure eyeball. Okay, so just erase these extra things. Now I have drawn a rough ellipse just to have a detailed knowledge about the eyeball. So eyeball basically consists of these three layers. So first layer is the outer fibrous layer, outer fibrous layer. So this outer fibrous layer consists of the two parts. What are the two parts in the outer fibrous layer? One is sclera, okay, sclera, another one is cornea, sclera and cornea. Okay, let me draw here. So this part, this outer part, this is the sclera which I am drawing with the double line. So it consists of the posterior part, posterior 5/6. Okay, this is the posterior part, that is the back side. I am doing a transverse section here. Okay, sorry, longitudinal section, a cut section, posterior part, and this is the anterior part. Okay, anterior part. Okay, so here this anterior 1/6 is made up of avascular transparent structure, and this is known as cornea. Okay, and this is sclera. This posterior one part is called as sclera. So this, the junction between the cornea and the sclera, it is known as corneoscleral junction. The name given to this corneoscleral junction is limbus. Remember this terminology is limbus. So it is nothing but where the cornea meets with the sclera, corneoscleral junction. Okay, so this is all about this outer coating, cornea and sclera. So in this sclera, it is around 1 millimeter in thickness. It is roughly around 1 millimeter in thickness, and it is thickened on the posterior side as compared to the equatorial side. Actually it is more thicker here, except at the region where optic nerve goes outside. Okay, that we will discuss later. And here just at the limbus, at the junction posterior to that, there is a thickening like this, that is forwarded, it is forwards and inwards, and this thickening it is called as scleral spur. What is this called as? Scleral spur. Okay, and also there is a cylindrical opening here to drain, like a pipeline structures. Okay, so this cylindrical opening or a pipeline structure, it is called as canal of Slem. It is called as canal of Slem. Okay, I will just erase these things and let me write here. This is called as canal of Slem, or it is also called as sinus venosus sclerae, but generally it is known as canal of Slem. Okay, so basically it will be draining the aqueous humor. We will discuss about what is that aqueous humor while we are discussing the other parts of the eyeball. So this is the first fibrous coat. Then second layer is the middle vascular coat. It is the middle vascular coat, middle vascular layer or middle vascular, outer fibrous layer, then middle vascular layer. So it consists of the three parts. What are the three parts? Choroid, then ciliary body, and finally the iris. Okay, so let me show you diagrammatically here what are the three parts of the second middle layer. So just inside this sclera, that is the eyeball, the second layer is the vascular part rich in blood vessels, So this part of the eyeball, this is the ciliary body. What is this? This is the ciliary body. The first part of the middle layer, that is the ciliary body. Okay. Then anterior to the ciliary body, there is a structure, a triangular structure with the base forwards. So like this, a triangular structure. So this triangular structure which I am drawing now, this is known as ciliary body. Ciliary body. This is the ciliary body. This is actually the ciliary body. What I have said, this is choroid. Extremely sorry. This is the choroid. Extremely sorry. Let me correct myself. So this is the choroid. So this outer bar, it is called as choroid. Okay, it is choroid, and this one is the ciliary body, second one. And suspended to the ciliary body is the iris. So this third part is iris. So middle vascular cord has three layers. What are that? Choroid from posterior to anterior, choroid, ciliary body, and iris. Okay, hope it is very much clear to you. So these are the middle vascular part. Then inner part is made up of, inner coat is made up of nervous layer. So this nervous layer, I will highlight it with the yellow color font. So yellow color I am highlighting this, that is the inner nervous layer. So inner nervous layer, it is mainly made up of retina. Again, retina has 10 layers. We will discuss in detail about the layers of retina in some other video. So right now just concentrate the innermost part of the eyeball, three layers. What would that innermost layer? It is mainly the light sensitive part, that is the retina. Okay, so basically it has 10 layers, but broadly it has two layers, outer pigmented and inner nervous layer. We will discuss about that thing in detail. These are the various parts of the eyeball, and here there is a structure known as lens that are suspended by the suspensory ligament of the zonules, or the zonular ligament from this ciliary body. Okay, that we will discuss now one by one. So first let us come to some extra points about the eyeball. First we will discuss about the dimensions of the eyeball. We will discuss about the dimensions of the eyeball. What are the size of the eyeball, weight of the eyeball, volume of the eyeball. So dimensions of the eyeball. So again I will draw a rough line diagram here to explain the dimensions of the eyeball. So see, antero-posteriorly, that is the AP diameter, it is around 24 millimeter. And this one, the height of an eyeball, it is around, length or height of the eyeball, it is around 23 millimeter. And if we see the transverse diameter like this we are seeing in the section, longitudinal section. If you see the transverse diameter, it will be around, transverse diameter of a eyeball, it will be around 23.5 millimeter. Okay, and if we see the circumference of an eyeball, it will be around 75 millimeter, whereas if we weight, that is the weight of the eyeball, it is approximately 7 gram, and the total volume of the eyeball, it is around 6.5 ml. Okay, so these are the general dimensions of the eyeball. Okay, now after knowing the dimensions, let us see one by one still extra points about these various layers of the eyeball. So, this outer fibrous layer, as I said, made up of sclera and cornea. Cornea, which consists of the 1/6 part, it is avascular structure, and sclera, it is a tough fibrous coat. Okay, let me show you some diagram. Now, this white color structure, it is the sclera. Okay, and this part which is avascular and transparent, it is the cornea as such. Okay, but what you are seeing, this color here, this brown color here in this particular photograph, let me show one more. Here you can see this blue color. Okay, it varies from individual. So, this color is mainly, what you are seeing is due to the iris, which is the part of the second layer, the second vascular layer. This is the iris, and this circular aperture in between this, it is known as pupil. Okay, that is the part of the middle vascular layer. Now, cornea as such is avascular, and this color what you see in the cornea is transparent. So, it is due to the iris. Okay, so that is the first part. Then second part, let me describe the second parts once again. Again I will draw a rough line diagram of the eyeball to make the concept of the second parts of the eyeball, second layer of the eyeball more specifically, very clear. So, this is the outer part, that is the sclera, and this is the cornea. Okay, 1/6 part, this is cornea and sclera. Okay, so let me draw a double line for the sclera demarcation. Cornea is a very thin avascular structure. It is around 0.5 millimeter in thickness in the center, around 0.67 millimeter in thickness at the periphery. Okay, so this was all about the cornea. Now, the middle part, as I already said you, so it is mainly made up of choroid. Okay, it is the posterior more part is made up of choroid. Let me write here choroid, that is the first part. Then anterior to the choroid, there is a triangular structure. This triangular structure, it is known as ciliary body. Second part is ciliary body. Okay, now this ciliary body, anterior to this ciliary body, what is suspended, that which gives the color in the cornea, what you are visible, is due to the third part, that is the iris. What is that? Iris. Okay, and the structure or the aperture or the opening in between, what we see, opening in between the iris, that aperture, it is actually circular disc. So, that aperture, it is known as pupil. Okay, hope it is very much clear. Now, let us see some details about this ciliary body. So, the ciliary body has two parts. One is the posterior part, another one is anterior part. So, this posterior part, it is known as pars plana because it is plane. Now, this anterior parts, there are certain folds, around 60 to 80 folds are present, and these folds which are present in the ciliary body, these are known as ciliary processes. Now, through these ciliary processes, a fluid is secreted that is known as aqueous humor, that we will discuss now. So, this is the ciliary processes, and this part where there is foldings, it is called as pars pliccata because it is not plain. Pars pliccata because ciliary bodies 60 to 80 folds are there, and there is a plain part that is known as pars plana. Okay, these are what we are discussing in the ciliary body. Now, to this ciliary body, there are certain ligaments also known as zonular ligaments, which will suspend a very important structure known as lens. Lens is also avascular structure like cornea. Now, this is the lens. This part is known as lens. So, this lens is suspended by some ligaments. That ligaments are known as zonular ligaments or also known as suspensory ligaments. Zonular ligaments or zonular fibers or suspensory ligament. Suspensory ligaments. Okay, suspensory ligaments. So, these are the These are attached by the, these ligaments are attached to the ciliary body, both to the pars plana as well as pars pliccata. Okay, hope second layer is very much clear. Now, various chambers of the eyeball. Again, I will draw a rough line diagram to describe the various chamber of the eyeball. Okay, this is the outer part. Then we have the middle vascular coat, that is the choroid. Then we have the ciliary body. We have this ciliary body, which is a triangular part to the suspend, that is the iris. Okay, iris. Now, you know, these are the zonules which will suspend the structure by convex structure, that is the lens. Now, this lens divide the eyeball into two segments. Basically, this lens divide the into two segments. The part anterior to the eyeball, it is called as anterior segment. It is called as anterior segment, and part posterior to this, it is called as posterior segment. Anterior and posterior segment. Remember the terminology segment. I am not saying chamber. Okay, posterior segment. Okay, as I already said you, through the ciliary process, one fluid is secreted from the ciliary body. There processes folds. Okay, that will secrete a fluid. That fluid which is secreted by this ciliary processes, it will go into this chamber, and this fluid, this which I am highlighting with this green color structure, green color, this fluid or the liquid, this fluid or the liquid which is secreted by the ciliary process of the ciliary body, it is known as aqueoushumour. What it is known as? It is known as aqueoushumour. Okay, hope it is very clear. Now, this fluid which is secreted by this ciliary processes of the ciliary body, it is known as aqueoushumour. Now, very important terminologies, please give your kind concentration here. Now, this part, that is from back of the cornea and the anterior part of the iris, this part which I am highlighting with these red lines, this chamber, it is called as anterior chamber. Please give your kind concentration. It is known as anterior chamber. What is anterior chamber? The chamber found by the back of the cornea and the anterior part of the iris, this chamber, and it is filled with a fluid known as aqueoushumour. Now, this chamber, now again I am highlighting with this red color, which is found by the back of the iris and the anterior surface of the lens. This chamber, it is called as posterior chamber of the eyeball. It is called as posterior chamber of the eyeball. This is the anterior chamber, this is the posterior chamber. Both are filled by a fluid known as aqueoushumour, which is secreted by the ciliary process. Now, this aqueoushumour, which is secreted by the ciliary processes, will go to the posterior chamber via the pupil to the anterior chamber, and ultimately they will drain by the trabecular meshwork here into canal of Schlemm, which is part of a sclera. We have discussed about this canal of Schlemm, which is a part of the sclera. Okay, hope this is very much clear to you. So, they are ultimately drained into canal of Schlemm. Now, the inner layer, that is the retina, inner layer retina, they has two layers. Basically, it is made up of two layers. I will just use this green color, actually 10 layers, but two broad layer. One is pigmented epithelial layer, which is the outer layer, and inner nervous layer. Inner nervous layer, which has neuronal cells like ganglion cells, here photoreceptor rods and cones will be there and all. So, this is the pigmented epithelial layer, which I am highlighting with this green color. Okay. Now, that inner nervous layer of the retina, that is the third layer, the ganglion cell form the axons of that ganglion cell, they form a nerve. This is the optic nerve or the second cranial nerve, optic nerve. Okay. It originates from the retina. Okay. It is known as optic nerve. Now, here one interesting point I want to highlight here. See, this pigmented epithelial layer will be continuous over the choroid as well as on the ciliary body and also on the iris backside. This green color pigmented layer, which is a part of the retina, outer retina, it will be continuous here. Whereas, this inner layer, which has rods and cones and neurons and photoreceptor, it will be terminated here, and this termination, it will not go anteriorly beyond this choroid, it will not go up to the ciliary body. This point, it is known as ora serrata, very important term, ora serrata. So, what is ora serrata? It is a retina, where retinal photoreceptors ends, like rods and cones are not present beyond this. So, no image can be formed anteriorly. Only when the light falls on this photosensitive area where rods and cones are present, there only the image can be formed. So, where it ends, the inner nervous layer is known as ora serrata, and again it is the demarcation where choroid continues as ciliary body at the level of the ora serrata only. Okay. And posterior to this lens, the fluid, there is a jelly like fluid, it is known as vitreous humor or the vitreous body or vitreous humor. Anterior, it is known as aqueous humor, okay, anterior to the lens. So, hope it is very much clear to you. So, let me summarize this with the schematic diagram of a textbook. So, basically it has 3 coats. Outer layer consists of the sclera, which consists of the 5/6 part, and the cornea, which consists of the 1/6 part, which is the avascular transparent structure. Then middle layer consists of the choroid, and this red color structure ciliary body, and the iris, third part is the iris, okay, ciliary body and iris, 3 layers. And this, through the ciliary body there are suspensory ligament which will be suspending the lens. Now, this lens divides the eyeball into anterior segment and posterior segment. In the anterior segment there is anterior chamber, and posterior chamber consists of aqueous humor. Posteriorly it has vitreous humor, okay, and this inner layer it is made up of retina. Hope the layers of the eyeball and the basics of the anatomy of the eye is clear to you. We will be continuing this lecture, physiology and diseases of the eyeball, in the subject ophthalmology. Please subscribe our channel Doctor's Corner and share the link with your friends. Thank you.